I'm from a Chinese background. My parents are from China. I think within the Asian community, there is sort of this belief that as long as you get to a really good school, and as soon as you're in a really good uni, then, you get a good job and you settle life. I did end up going to a good school, like a selective school. I had to do really well and make my parents proud and compete with all these other kids. I found myself getting really stressed over my assignments and getting really into a very perfectionist mode. It ended up being like a silent pressure, where I had to appear to be okay, but wasn't feeling okay inside. I didn't want to see people, and I just ended up cooping myself in my room a lot and crying a lot. It wasn't even a question of me feeling sad then cry. It's just tears streaming down my face constantly. My parents were concerned, but they didn't really know what was going on with me. My mum just decided to take me to a doctor that she can communicate her language with, because my parents, they're not very good with English. It wasn't like a cold or a flu where you get some tablets and then a week later you're cheery and you're fine. Out of the blue, one time in class, I just had a poem come into my mind and I had to write it down. It just came to me, it wasn't like I was trying. Other times, I would just feel so impulsive that one time I remember in class I decided, my fringe is too long, I gotta chop it. And I just brought out my scissors and started cutting my fringe in the middle of class. These sort of things started building, and it got to a point where my highs were putting myself in very vulnerable situations and I was getting into a lot of trouble. I just feel I can't cope with anything anymore, and there is absolutely no point to further living, if that makes sense. I ended up telling the school counsellor some of my suicidal thoughts. So I did end up having what I later found out to be very classic symptoms of bipolar. I took an extra year to finish my Year 12 and split the load so I could really push through. A lot of the difficulties with not being able to start an assignment or not being able to do exams were still with me. But luckily, I did get my HSC. I applied to go to TAFE and I studied youth work. I was referred to a TAFE counsellor and then to Headspace. Headspace was able to refer me on to another psychiatrist and to a psychologist. And I guess that was sort of the beginning path to proper long-term treatment for me. Headspace was the starting journey for me to get consistent help. So in the past, I've had to change over from different professionals. I'd have to tell my story again and again. Sometimes I feel like I'm a broken record. Since I've been with Headspace, I was able to see the same clinician mostly right through. Because they know me so well, they're able to really support me when things get tough. Things are a lot better now, but not to say I haven't had hiccups on the way. My team has been there to support me and monitor me and make sure that I'm back on my feet. My parents have witnessed me through all my highs, my lows. There is a lot more sort of a trusting bond between us. I've just realised ultimately my parents just want me to be happy. I feel like through all this experience, it has helped me build a good support network and good connection with my family. It's sort of like a springboard for me to move forward into the future.